there's something that changed. Like every time I would sin or do something that I knew God didn't want, parang wala na. Nung dati na-enjoy ko, parang hindi ko na siya na-enjoy. And yun nga, I just started getting confused na nga. Parang started getting desperate. And I prayed yung sinasabi nila, the quintessential agnostic's prayer. One night in my room, I just prayed to God. I just said, God, I don't know if you're real, but if you're really real, please let me know. I'm so desperate. I need to know if you're real. Let me know. And then as I was reading, I started reading I had this huge student's Bible that Corinne gave me, and started reading it. And then I saw a part in Matthew 5. It's in the Beatitudes. It says, blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. Because I couldn't really perceive him. And then when I saw that verse, I just realized why I couldn't see God. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. And at that moment, I surrendered my life again to him.
This podcast is powered by Podcast Network Asia and Podmetrics. Oh my goodness, guys. This is our 30th episode. Welcome to The Narrow Door. Come on in. My name is Sam. And you see on the screen, my friends, of course, Brother J. Paul Hernandez is lay preacher at The Feast, and Pastor Dennis C. is head pastor at Victory Green Hills. Instructor Harold Resho is instructor at New Heaven and New Earth Shincheonji Church of Jesus. Ooh, we have a great episode to celebrate today. We are talking about music and the arts and how they relate to our faith, because they do. And we're so excited because we have the best person to have this conversation with. Who better than with a Pinoy rock icon, guys? She is a singer. She's a songwriter. She's also a painter. She's also a mom and a wife now. We are so delighted to welcome Barbie Almalvis Hodnasan is here.
Hey everyone, hey Sam.
Hi, Barbie.
Hello.
Hi.
Great to see you guys.
Hello.
We're here, and congrats on the 30th episode.
Thank you so much for gracing our 30th episode. Yeah. And thank you so much for being here. Yeah. How have you been? We're all going through this pandemic life situation. How's it been going for you?
Well, we've been, at home this whole time. I've been out a total of one time. I took my kids, I guess this was like mga 2 weeks ago. Talagang, alam mo dyan, punong-puno na talaga. Sobrang cabin fever na, diba, to the max. And we were like, I just felt like, we had to just see the outside world. So yeah, we took the kids to a picnic, like my husband and I, and our household basically, like yung help din namin sa bahay. So we took the van and we just drove around, like may isang area sa Antipolo, where my manager lives. So kasi may mga areas na parang talahib pa. So yan. So naghanap na kami ng open space na overlooking the city, So then we put our blankets out, and it was good. It definitely scratched the itch. When we came home, it's like, okay, I can stay indoors for, another for a while again. Like, at least I've seen the outside world, like after, 6 months.
Yeah, so, wow. That is remarkable how you managed not to step out just once. Yeah.
I mean, it's a blessing that we have yun nga, di ba, mga apps, like grocery apps, and we can do a lot of the things that we need to do online, and so grateful ako doon. So, pero yun nga, syempre na-miss ko na rin na, I miss gigging outside, but I'm grateful for online gigs and still being able to make music at home. But,
absolutely. Yeah. It sounds to me like you're also keeping healthy while you're staying indoors.
I'm actually, because like we live kasi in a compound, so my in-laws and yung mga siblings, ganun, they live next door, and one of my of my husband's siblings, they're into sports, they're into swimming. So parang stinat nila sa dito kasi I didn't exercise for like so long. But I always felt like, playing gigs was like enough exercise kasi pinagpapawisan ka naman, But yan, so they started like teaching us how to swim, mga simple training lang, and yan, parang lahat na biglang na got into swimming. And so yeah, thankfully it's one exercise that I get to do nowadays.
Yeah. Sounds good. Yeah, you guys are keeping safe, you are keeping healthy. managing to exercise, and then recently you guys got some fresh air. That's great.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your faith, because I think you have been quite vocal about your relationship with God since you found God, and you invited Jesus Christ into your life and all that stuff. Can you take us through the journey? Like, you're a born again Christian, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So how did this journey start for you?
Well, like most of us naman in this country, we grew up knowing God, going to church and praying during meals, and basta alam mo yan, may training naman tayo in knowing God, and but I guess like parang when I entered the band scene in 1996, um yun nga, it opened me up to syempre a lot of temptation and a lot of siguro yung success at such an early age. I was like 19 when it happened, and I felt like yun na yung mga dreams ko. It's like parang yun nga, I was playing in a band, I was doing what I love, but there was just that void in me that couldn't get filled. And even if I knew God, I knew of God, I didn't really parang pang Sunday lang siya. Hindi ko talaga siya, alam mo, I didn't really know him in a personal way. And so, I still lived my life like as if I was my God. I just did my own thing, even if I, prayed and did all these things. So, and then nung sa college din, nung first pa lang 'di ba pag nag-college tayo may philosophy class na tayo. So unang philosophy class pa lang wala na tumaob na yung ko, yung foundations ko kasi like I had a really good philosophy teacher, and like it was challenging. Like at the beginning of the term, it was like intro to philosophy. So philosophy first year in college. At the beginning of the class, it's like everybody believed in God, and at the end of the class, so like only 5 people believed in God. It was that like our professor really challenged us. So since I didn't really know God in a personal way, all I had was just it's just something I grew up with. So talagang na-shake yung faith ko, and yeah, so of course yun kasabay nun, it was around the time that my band started, and the Temptations and all these things, and parang nothing, so I just kept living the way I wanted to live. But the more I tried to fill that hole, with success, with music, with partying, with whatever I wanted to do, parang the void in me just started getting deeper, like wider and wider, and nothing really could fill it. And then thankfully I had some friends who are Christians, who started sharing about Jesus with me, and I was so surprised because when they would talk to me about Jesus, it was like they were friends. Ganun siya parang, yeah, I talked to God last night, ganito, and then yeah, and then God told me ganyan. Sabi ko, what? God tells you things? like yeah, parang it was such a personal thing. Parang I was so shocked that you could relate to God that way. And at the start, lagi ko silang ina-argue, like talagang, dinidebate ko, ganon. But my friends, actually it was really mostly my former manager, Corinne, who's still a good friend of mine now. So I would argue with her, but she would just remain patient with me. Hindi niya naman, parang ako lang yung nag-argue and then she would try to answer, and then if I didn't like her answer, she'd just be, it's okay, parang ano lang siya, just continuously being loving and patient with me. Yeah, and then
wow.
Yeah, and then so di ba she was my manager, so we would sleep over at times when we have gigs. So may isang time nagpa-panic attack ako sa I had I had depression, I had panic attacks, I had things like that during that time, and I couldn't sleep. Like we had the gig the next morning, I couldn't sleep throughout the whole night because I don't know what I was worried about, but I just having a panic attack. And then it's like maybe 1:30, it was late at night. She was already fast asleep and I couldn't sleep. So I was just there on the floor, whatever. And then she woke up from her sleep like for a little bit, and she's like, you know what? Don't worry. God told me He's gonna use you one day. She's like, you're gonna be okay. God's gonna use you one day. And then she fell right back to sleep. Okay lang siya. Ako panic na dun. But then, yeah, anyway, so yun nga, continuously pa rin ganon. And then, I guess she introduced me to another missionary, si Michael Turner, who also was in a band, and he shared the gospel with me. parang he made an illustration about how, missing the mark, like how all of us have missed the mark, and it's only Jesus Christ, died on the cross, and can put us back in the right standing with God because of his sacrifice. So then I prayed that prayer. I received Jesus through a prayer with Mike Turner, and then but I still didn't understand, what I did, what the prayer meant, and I still kept living my life the same way as before, but there's something that changed. Like every time I would sin or do something that I knew God didn't want, parang wala na nung dati na-enjoy ko, parang hindi ko na siya na-enjoy. There's some basta nag-iba, parang nag-iba yung taste mo, 'di ba, gano'n. And yun nga, so my depression just continued, and I just started getting confused na nga, parang started getting desperate, and I prayed yung sinasabi nila, the quintessential agnostic's prayer. But it's weird. I thought it was unique to me, but I realized a lot of people prayed this prayer. But one night in my room, I just prayed to God. I just said, God, I don't know if you're real, but if you're really real, please let me know. I'm so desperate. I need to know if you're real. Let me know. And then yeah, and then as I was reading, I started reading I had this huge student's Bible that Corinne gave me, and started reading it. And then I saw a part in Matthew 5. It's in the Beatitudes. It says, blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. And that verse just jumped out, because I couldn't really parang follow God or believe in him, because I felt like I couldn't see him. Parang how can I believe in him? I couldn't really perceive him. And then when I saw that verse, I just realized why I couldn't see God. So, blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. And at that moment, I surrendered my life again to him in my room. I just said, okay, God, I can't see you because I know my life is so impure, and I just surrendered. I said, I want to follow you. I want to stop being my boss, and want to do what you want, and yun lang. And yeah, and it was so dramatic. Like I just started, little steps of obedience, but they bore so much fruit even at the beginning. Like first step of obedience, biglang sabihin ni God sa akin, you talk to your mom, talk to your parents, open up about this problem or ganyan. And even things that were hard for me, parang God gave me the grace to follow him. And every time I did, yun nga, parang yung depression ko, umpisang nawala, parang nawalan ako ng tinik kasi yung mga, alam mo yun, nilabas ko sa mom ko, mga ganon. And then when I started, parang for the first time, I saw that the things I was reading in the Bible were not just ideas, but they really bore fruit in my life. So I got so parang gung-ho, like parang God, ano pa, ano pang gusto mo? I wanted to learn more about this new life. And yun, and then yung mga friends ko dating kasama ko sa party, and kasama ko sa just feeling lost, and parang we were like, grabe ka, isang tanga-tanga natin dati. Parang gano'n, parang akala natin kung saan natin, parang gano'n kami, parang akala natin ang cool natin, akala natin mahahanap natin si God sa ganito, ganyan. Kasi di ba walang rules eh, you just do whatever you want. But so we felt so excuse the word, but stupid parang after realizing that hinahanap pala natin na kay God, parang yung hinahanap natin yung true love, yung security, the sense of identity, it was found in him. And yun lang. So it was kind of funny, but yeah. So a lot of my friends, we all started going to church together, and yun.
Wow. What a great testimony, guys. Yeah, no, I love the story, and how you're just so open about, sharing it from beginning to end. I mean, it hasn't ended, we're obviously all on a journey right now.
Yes.
But yeah, gentlemen, any comments on this story and how Jesus came into Barbie's life and she said yes to God?
I think I can relate to that story. That
Please,
I started
relate, yes.
with. Yes, I started with having this Sunday only relationship with God, but after Sunday, it's like I'm not thinking about him anymore. But there's really a void in my heart that somehow I'm searching for him, and I want to know him more, and I would want him to be in my life. And this is really a journey that we're going through right now. So I was just so blessed when I had that kind of relationship, that even before, when I heard my friends told me that they're able to really get some direction from God and how God is working in their lives. I was just so amazed, and I can experience that as well. And yes, and right now it's through the Word of God that we're getting a more understanding on how He would want us to do our life, or even go about the things that we have in our lives. So really, it's important for us to have that relationship with God first, and then everything will follow.
Yeah. Nice, nice. Anyone else? Pastor D?
Yeah, yeah, just the your story, Barbie, just reminds me of how all of us need an encounter
Mm,
with God. I think there's both a private and public angle to our
yes.
conversion experience, where there's a community side, but then at the end of the
Yeah.
day, there's also a decision on our part privately. And I think that was a turning point in your life. God
Yes.
surrounded you
That's
with so
true.
many Christians. Parang di ka pinakawalan ni
Yeah.
Lord, no? Parang all angles, everywhere you go, there's a lot of people who love Jesus, who who surrounded you, and it was their love. It was not the
No, it
debates,
wasn't. Yeah.
and I think I took note of that. It wasn't the debates or who got the right answer, but it was the relationship, and I believe that's how God is. Our God is a very relational God, and we see that in your experience as you converted and as you started your walk with Jesus. It was how relational Christians should be, because our God is a very relational God.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Brother Jay.
I mean, so beautiful always to listen to you, Barb. But I really want to thank you for being Jesus to my wife. Because for those who don't know, Manang Barbie, or Barbie, was the discipler of my wife, and more than the band scene, or the showbiz, my wife really looked up to Barbie in getting to know Jesus, and that's when she started her journey. And she always tells me that the man that she wanted to marry was based on Martin Honasan, the husband of Barbie. So parang like, ang hirap nung peg. But yeah, I mean, I want to thank you, because now just that touch of love allows, now today my wife ministers so many women, so many
Mhm.
families. And if it wasn't for sharing Jesus to her, and that's the power of, discipleship, of friendship and love, and really blessed to be your family.
Wow. No, that's amazing.
So
Like this
proud of you guys.
ripple.
Proud of you.
Yeah. This is amazing how there has been a ripple effect. How Barbie discipled Viv, and then J. Paul and Viv discipled me. And so in a way,
Wow.
Barb, like your relationship with God kind of had, had an effect on
And a
mine
spiritual
as well.
grandma. Spiritual grandma.
Yeah, you're grandma. You know what? On like a past episode, somebody called me a spiritual tita, and now the next level is like spiritual grandma. Oh my goodness. Okay. But I just find this so, yeah, I think any conversion story of somebody who, found themselves in what looked like an enviable position, right? You were in a very popular band at the time. You had access to basically whatever you wanted. You were having a blast. You were successful. You were young. You were beautiful. You look the same, by the way. I don't know how you don't age, but yeah. But something in all of that still was not satisfying, and it was only God that could fill that void for you. And I remember reading somewhere that your decision to leave the band, you actually think that was divine intervention. So is this the experience that you talk about when you say divine intervention?
Well, yeah. Yeah, like one of the, I guess, the blessings that we have when we walk with God is we can have His direction in our lives, and um, parang it's no longer about our plan, but if we want to be part of whatever He's doing, we want to be a part of His plan. And yeah, so, and God's been so faithful, to answer our prayers. Like now, I mean, not just being a band person, but even as a mom, like, it's sobrang ano eh, ano yan, parang it's always new terrain. Like when when it comes to parenting, right? It's like every new season, it's like I don't know how to do this, but God's faithful in guiding us. So with my band, then it was always about that. Then it's about like where does God, want to take me? How does God want to use music? I mean, there have been so many times when, I mean, being in a band is not easy as well. There are tough seasons. So there have been times then when I pray like, God, is it over? Is it like, am I done? And I would like surrender that to Him. And I would have bouts of like even writer's block. I couldn't write a song, for a while. And I just, pag mga moments na ganun, minsan question ko, God, new season na ba? Baka tapos na, ganun. But yun nga, so, but through all those seasons, I think it's also, I guess like a character, ano ba tawag doon? May ginagawa rin siya sa character ko na during those seasons, it's like he exposes things in me that if I'm holding on to these things too tightly, so parang I had to surrender it so many times na, God, sige, parang, if this is done and you have a new thing for me, it's okay, like parang where you want me to be is, where the best thing for me anyway. So, parang ganon. But it's been so many times na binibigay ko sa kanya, but then somehow he'd open another door and tuloy-tuloy pa rin. Although I really do love playing music. I mean, even before, outside of it being a career, it's something that I'm sure like J. Paul knows, like in our family, like yung kami nila Viv, like our parents, they all play instruments. Music is just a part of our lives, and kung hindi man siya maging career, parang sobrang enjoy ko pa rin magsulat ng music, tumugtog kahit pag-isa ako sa kwarto playing, singing, playing. It's something that yun nga, isa yun sa mga recent like syempre with this pandemic, di ba? Siguro lahat naman tayo nagko-question ng direction ng buhay natin. Parang ito pa ba? So then parang ni-remind lang ako ni God na, like, when I was young and I was playing guitar in my room and singing, writing songs, that was fun, and it's like whatever happens, kahit nag-lockdown, kahit walang gigs ngayon, parang I still have that. Like I can still enjoy playing music, and I'll always have that. So, yun lang. So,
Yeah, let's talk about that, because today we are going to talk about how music and the arts relate to our faith. And so, do you find, when you're making music, when you're performing, or you're playing your guitar, is this a religious experience for you?
Religious, definitely, music is used in worship, right? Parang it's an expression of our emotions. It's an expression of our love for God. So all throughout in the Bible, God has used art, music, diba? Visual arts, diba? Yung mga temple talagang binisisi talaga yun diba? It's so detailed, it's so specific how God wanted the temple to look. And not just music, not just visual art, but even performance art. Like our prophets, diba? Sino nga ba yan, pastor? Pastors, yung mga sila Elijah and basta all these like prophets, they do a lot of performance art, like to give a message from God. Like one of them would like lie down on his side for ilang days yun, parang 70 days, and lie down on your other side for 40 days. Parang ganon, right? Parang because God wanted to give a message to people. He used performance art, because
oh my goodness. Now we know where David Blaine got his inspiration. Yep. Like doing all his stunts, right?
Yes, because there's something about art that just speaks the message in a way that makes people really get it. Like it speaks beyond our ears, but it just opens our understanding, our hearts to receive the message even more deeply. So I guess art is a language, and it's a language that a universal language that we speak. So aside from words, God also uses art to speak to us. I mean, he always has used art.
Yeah, what do you guys have to say about Oh, okay. I think Instructor Harold wants to say something. I was going to ask you guys, like when you do your preachings or when you are, sharing the word with your congregation members, like I feel like maybe the arts or, music could come up in the way you share the message. How does this happen for you guys? What do we see?
Okay, I'll try to start. I think I live by this, that life is art. The fifth word in scripture, in the beginning, God created. So God is an artist. Yeah. Just in Genesis 1:1, it already goes to show to you that in the beginning there was nothing. Everything was void, and God created. There was art in Genesis 1:1. And I think that's his very nature, that he wants us to be artists. Everybody's an artist, right? The work that we do, whether you're sweeping the floor or you're making music, it should be art. And even with sermon preparation and pastoring, it's an art. Art means you put emotions into it. And I would always make an illustration about the difference between a chef and a cook, right?
Mm.
Kung kusinera ka, if you're a cook, right? You just cook. You put the soy sauce, yeah. But the chef, it's different. It's like there's drama, right? Even though it's only adobo flake, right? It would cost 1,000 pesos compared to your cook that would cost 25 pesos. But what's the difference? It's the drama. It's the art that comes into it. And I think the calling that we have, it's art. If we don't put emotions into it, it's just business as usual. And I think that's what separates good people from great people. Great people look at their calling as an art. That everything I do, I need to put my emotions into it. There needs to be some drama and flair into what I do, whether it's something mechanical that some people might view as mechanical, but I feel like there's so much drama when I do sermon preparation that I need to pray to God. I need to, when I visit, when I call somebody, it's not just something I do for the sake of doing because I'm paid to do it, but because I love doing it. And when the emotions come in, the right emotions come in, it becomes a great art for people to say, wow, that person brings a lot of value because he sees life as art.
Pastor Dennis also likes to spontaneously break out into song, which we love.
Yeah.
That's his thing. Yeah, yeah. Brother Jay.
If
Instructor Harold.
Yeah, go, Instructor
Yeah,
Harold.
yeah.
no,
Mo
I'm
ako.
real sorry. No, I'm just having a bit of a problem with my internet connection. But yes, I just want highly But basically, I just want to add with what Pastor Dennis is saying, that yes, God is the creator, and I think He's the best artist that we know, because everything that God created is good, and even the nature. Because earlier, Barbie was mentioning that they had a little picnic and really having that nice overlooking scene, and because it's actually nice when we spend time in nature. And actually, for myself, I really to live in a place close to nature, because when I grew up in Batangas, in our backyard we can see a view of mountains, and since it's facing the east, it's so nice to see the sun rising from the mountains. And even since we're also near the beach, if I
Wow.
have time, I go in the morning and do a quick dip, and then really do some floating on the water and staring in the sky, and
Wow.
trying to be amazed with how God is able to create all these things. And I was just in awe, even though I cannot fathom how everything became possible through God. But basically, God is such a great artist. And even the sunset, when I look at the sunset, it's like God is painting a new canvas every day. It's so colorful and it's so beautiful, and it's something that we can relate in our lives. That every one of us has his own color, but I cannot say that if my color is different from yours, I cannot say that I'm better than you. But instead, I can look at it that if God will be using every one of us, then God can make a great masterpiece out of the color from us. And yes, God is such a great artist. That's in the side of the painting, in the field of painting. If we go in the side of sculpture, we, the human beings that were formed by God, are molded in His image and likeness. And also in the field of literature, he's the best author. Why? Because he had the best-selling book ever in the history of the world, which is the Bible. And we know how important the Bible. Really knowing more about God in the Bible, it gives us life, and it gives us that sense of being close to God whenever we see the stories of God in the Bible. And this is really something we're able to connect to, because God is a great artist.
He really is the best artist. Yes. And the world is his canvas. I love that. Oh my goodness. Barbie also paints, by the way. You should tell us about that in a little bit.
No, my husband is a painter. I just dabble.
Yeah.
And my mom also paints, yeah.
Oh, wow. Nice. Brother Jay, anything you want to add to that?
No, it's for real, because we're meant to be who we are. like what everyone's saying and Pastor Dan is saying, everyone is an artist. And so just give me, for example, I give a talk. I can give a boring talk. Like, God loves you. Don't sin. That's it. That's the whole preaching.
That's
right?
the whole message.
But then the artistry, when I have to honor the gift that God put inside me. And how do I tell a funny story in the front, and then a personal story, how to make people reflect, and a call to action. And that's the whole artistry that stresses me. That it stresses me out because I gave this talk like 1,000 times, but I'm so happy because I exercise the gift of God in me. And a lot of people have let go of artistry because they think it's only for a few people. But there is an artistry in everyone, in everything. And just for example, the churches, the early churches, there was a time that Christianity was the minority. So imagine Europe, everywhere. So church had to be beautiful. Music had to be beautiful. The paintings. Why? Because we as Christendom had to explain that amongst the ugly world, Christianity is beautiful.
Wow.
Expression of our beautiful God.
Yeah. And what's this? I was just remembering a story, because nature, really, I mean, when you look around us, right? Especially when you live in a place where you're just surrounded by greenery and, landscape and just the sky and the different, flowers and plant life and all that. It's like, my goodness, we have such a creative God who, I just remembered my friend talking about how she went. This is going to be a bad telling of the story because I do not remember much of the details. But the point is, she went somewhere really beautiful, and it was so nice, it made her break into song. Like, that was the effect that it had on her. Like it's not, but like we can't really explain it. But something about nature and its beauty like makes us sing. Which is, I mean, not many things in the world have that effect on us. It's, kind of wild in a really great way. And I think it was also I think it was St. Augustine who said, like, if you want to, singing is praying twice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you ever heard something like that? So yeah, definitely music and arts, really strong connection with the faith. How are you doing with the painting thing? Like, how you got into that because of your husband? Is that your new thing now?
No. Actually, my mom, because my mom is a painter. That's what she studied in school, and and so when I was young, I would paint a little bit. Then I married Martin, who was also a painter. So yeah, so when we were dating, that was like one of our dating activities. We would hang out and paint together. So ganun lang. So from sometimes I would paint with him, but yeah, but but now I
Kinikilig.
support him. Andyan lang siya sa tabi ko nakikinig.
Baka may friend pa si Martin na pwede natin pakilala kay Sam.
Yes. Martin,
Baka may painter friend pa tayo dyan.
Kaway ka daw
No!
dito, kaway ka.
Wait, you know what? I completely forgot this, but while Barbie was talking, I remember that I did have a date where the guy took me to a park and we painted, and it didn't work out. So I'm thinking this is
Really? You painted in the park.
didn't work out. So I
Common dating na pala to, no?
No, you
painted walls.
No, it was actually super cute. Like, he brought all the materials, and like we were, in the elements, and like, we were painting. Like, it was actually super cute.
Ay, baka God ordained naman siguro yung moment na yon. Hindi lang God ordained yung relationship.
Yan. I
Baka
think
Crayola lang gamit.
you got to know God more and got to enjoy the friendship. Okay lang din naman yon.
that's so true. That's so true. No, really. Yeah.
So this is not an art discussion. It's the love life of Sam.
No, but can I ask you that? I mean, because you met your husband and started dating after you started a relationship with God. Like, how did that change the way you approached relationships, if at all?
Oh yeah, totally. It was one of those things like remembering how I told you earlier that when I met God, it was like I wanted, I wanted him to guide me in my life, because just following my own heart, following my own way got me into so much trouble. So in the area of relationships was one of them. Like I just told, medyo sumobra nga ako ng konti kasi parang, God, ayokong magkamali. I don't want to go back to the things I did before, like all the heartbreaks and all those things. So talagang, alam mo yan, parang I just wanted to be sure. So I was like, I didn't parang trust my emotions anymore, I guess. Like I would just, parang if I feel anything, I would just give it to God. Na, God, if this isn't from you, like protect me, take it away, and so when I was already parang 6 years na I was walking with God and just focusing on school, finishing school and doing music. And then, 6 years, bigla akong nagka-crush sa church. Matagal ko na siyang kilala. Mga 3 years na siyang nasa church din. So, we were like, hi, hello, acquaintances lang sa church. And then, parang I started like noticing him. And then, when I go to church, nagaganon ako ulit. Parang, God, hindi siya yung pinupunta ko dito. Siyempre, distracted na ako, di ba? Kasi dati, wala naman eh. Parang, alam mo, see your friends, normal. Ngayon, after 6 years, biglang meron ng, parang, may napapansin ka. So ganun, I just kept surrendering it to God. Na parang, God, parang during the service, I know where he's sitting. So you're listening to the pastor, but then he's over there.
Style ni Jane Paul yun ah.
So then, yeah. So, yun lang. So, so ganun ulit. Parang, God, ayoko. Parang, I don't like these feelings, like, anong gagawin ko dito? Parang, so sinasurrender ko lang kay God. But, yun nga, yung time na yun, the more that I surrendered it, parang our friendship started to happen. Like, parang siyang lumalapit din. Parang we started talking. And then, it was actually, I was reading this book by Stacey Eldridge, yung Captivating?
Yes.
Yeah, that book. And then, there's, you have it right there. Great. And then I just there's a part there, hindi na verbatim, hindi ko na pero there was a part there that encouraged me lang na parang be normal, na parang don't naman hide. Like, you want to protect your heart, you want God to lead you, but it doesn't mean you're gonna hide in your shell and like not talk to boys. You know what I mean? Like parang ganun eh. I forgot kung anong part. Basta it was that book na parang naging na ako. Ayun nga, masyadong defensive na. So, because I liked him, mas lalo ko siyang nilalayuan. So, parang I don't have to do that. Like, I can befriend him even if I like him, So, yun. And then, it was so fast. Like, so we started talking to each other mga September, mga ganon. And then October, no October, yun nga pala, siya rin pala started liking me at around the same time. And siya naman mahiyain din. So nag-pray siya kay God to help him make a move. Kasi nakalimutan na daw niya manligaw. He's been walking with God and been single then for 3 years. And so he just prayed yun nga, for God to help him make a move. And then one day, we had an after church dinner with some friends. There were like 5 of us. And then nag-order na ng food. Parang mamaya-maya, yung isang friend namin, nakita yung family niya in the same restaurant kasi Sunday, di ba, after church. So she's like, oh, sorry guys, I have to leave kasi I'm just gonna join my family because they're here then. So she left. And then a few minutes later, yung isang kasama namin biglang, oy, mag next service na, I'm the drummer. So I need to go back to the service. And then our other friend, yung only one left among the, yun nga, sa 5, biglang sabi niya, oh, you're my ride, I have to go. I'm gonna ride with you later. So, she needed to go. So, naiwan kaming dalawa sa restaurant. Tapos, sobrang awkward niya kasi we already liked each other and we don't talk to each other. So, talagang na-force kami. Na
So, sinet up mo or si Martin
Yeah.
nag-set up?
Wala talaga. I didn't tell any of our friends that I liked him. He didn't tell any of those. Nobody knew. And it was so awkward. It was painful. It's like, you know what I mean? It was so stressful. Like, parang, what am I gonna say? And then so, sabi pa ni Martin, sabi niya, so he wanted to break the ice. So, ganun sabi niya, sige, may question ako, sabi niya. Kung may iwan ka sa island, ano pagkain ang kakainin mo? What food would you not mind eating every day? Gano'n. Gano'n yung mga icebreaker questions namin. Yun lang, but after that, like, yung unplanned date, yun na, parang, yun nga, parang it was, naging mas consistent na. He started like picking me up to go to church, and so, October, tas nung, 2 months later, he, nag-ano na siya ng plans niya, ganyan na, yun nga, he courted me na, and then we got married in May.
Wow!
That
6 months later.
That's what's good when you surrender everything to God and you want to give everything to Him and just let Him do what He has to do.
Love.
May bago na naman ako.
Notes? Are you taking notes, Harold?
He's the expert.
But really.
No, that's I love that. You're right. I think maybe when you are kind of walking in this journey of faith, you start to now re-examine like how you used to do things, and maybe sometimes you can withdraw a bit too much. Like you're very unsure. Yeah. You're very unsure of how to do things anymore. But I love that just things kind of just fell into place like that. I didn't plan on asking these things about, your marriage and your relationship, but like, this is really interesting. Like how, because I don't think you really foresaw yourself maybe prior to your relationship with God being married to, a man of God, a man of faith, who you can journey with together. How amazing is that for a relationship?
It's really a blessing, especially, diba, like, in church, diba, we talk about, the husband as being the leader of the family, and diba, yung laging controversial wife, submit to your husband, and husband, love your wife. Okay naman ako dun kasi nandun naman yung husband, love your wife as Christ loved the church, right? So ganun din. So, so it's knowing that he has a relationship with God has definitely made it much easier for me to trust him that God will give him the grace and empower him to be the leader that he's called him to be. And definitely through our marriage is something that we had to work through, like how that really applies, like how you really apply that practically, right? But it's God's faithfulness really that makes us makes it work. Yeah, it's him being the foundation.
Yeah.
So powerful.
I did not expect to be so kilig on this episode. Like I was so
but Sam, you really have to. For me, every time there's a family reunion, I really look forward to talking to Martin. We talk about God a lot. We talk about and stuff, and he's really really a great man. Just to honor him, and they have a beautiful family. Even Martin's dad is with Jesus, and just so amazing.
Yeah. You guys seem to be a really fun bunch. Like, I've stalked your Instagram a little bit, and you guys are adorable.
If I may just add, because I know super kilig yung story, but really writing the song together, maybe on the part and just let God and do things spontaneously. It's like you are collaborating with God as an artist and making that song, and that song is actually your life, that you're letting God lead you to make this beautiful song. And then you've mentioned that you and your husband are making this song together. It's like composing, because God is also a great composer. He made the stories in the Bible, and this is even when we go at the time of Moses, he asked the Israelites to memorize the songs. Moses recite the song to them, and they have to put it in their hearts. And really, this is something that we can find in the Bible, and I think that's God's goal for us as well. Because when we heard the tune, automatically, if we know the lyrics by hearts, we don't have to look on the words itself. We can sing from our hearts. And same thing with God. I believe He would want us to also put the words in our hearts that we can testify or even share the word of God spontaneously from the heart. So these are things that we can find in the Bible. And one more thing, since we're already talking about songs and how we are able, how God is able to write this, in the Bible, there are 3 songs that we can find, at least 3 songs. The Song of Moses, which we can look at the stories at the time of Moses, the Song of the Lamb, which are the songs of the stories about Jesus, because Jesus is the Lamb of God. And also there's a new song. But what could this be new song pertaining to? And there are also musical instruments that were mentioned in the Bible. So do these things have a deeper meaning in the Bible? And that's something that we would really want to share, because I know we have a short period of time. But if you want to know more about this, this is something that we want to share to every one of you.
Oh, that is
Plug,
quite
plug
the
back.
cliffhanger, Instructor Harold. I didn't know there were so many parallels in the Bible to like music and art and all that stuff. That's beautiful. And yeah, before we really say goodbye, can you share with us, Barbie, how you spend time with God every day? Like, what do you do?
Well, I'm such a night owl. So before it was I mean, actually kami ni Martin, both of us, like we try to sleep early and wake up early, but then every time you try and then we get it, and then after a few weeks it just like starts moving and moving, mas mamaya 12 a.m. na, mamaya 2 a.m. na, mamaya 3 a.m. na naman. Talagang laging napupush. And so before then, I would do my quiet time, my time with God. I would read my Bible at night. And kasi yun nga, kasi night owl nga ako. Pero it was, it became a struggle for me because, diba, syempre, if you do your quiet time at night, I don't know, for me, if I do my quiet time at night, it would depend on how my day went, right? If I was so busy that day, nung gabi na, pagod na ako, or sige, bukas na lang, and parang ganyan talaga eh. Parang I guess like God's really like continuously reminded me how important it is to spend time with Him, right? So parang struggle siya sa akin. How can I do a consistent time with God when it's so hard for me yun nga kasi pabago-bago yung schedule namin, di ba? When I have a gig, ganun. So one thing that really helped me was like, well, first I got my, Martin gave me ano yan? Parang like a journal Bible. So it's a physical Bible because before I was using my phone. So after mo magbasa ng Bible, okay, Bible, you pray. Pagkatapos, boom, nasa Instagram ka na agad. You know what I mean? Kasi it's like on your phone. Pag boom, nasa Facebook ka na. So when I got that physical Bible, it kind of put that separation, it's just that when I'm reading my Bible, that's the only thing I'm going to focus on. So that helped me like have a better time with God. When I could focus, I put my phone away, and then I had this thought din da, diba, in the Word of God, there's always that theme of giving God the best, right? Like when we give the best of our resources to God, like when we tithe and mga ganon, parang God always deserves the best. So then I thought about that with my time. Then parang I started to realize that God deserves the best of my time. So inisip ko rin, ano ba yung time ng day na best ako? Because I do that when I'm recording at home. Like when I do my albums at home, I don't just record when I'm tired. You know what? I plan, I'm gonna sing tomorrow. What time is the best time for me to sing? And then I would really allot that time for singing. So I was like, say 2:00, I would sing then. Para I'm at the best shape. So na-realize ko I can do the same with my time with God. That I should do the same with my time with God. Like pick the best time of the day and give that to God. And so yun na siya. So yun that's what I'm usually doing. Like yun nga, when it's after I wake up, sometime in the afternoon when I could see there's a window right here. This is where I spend my time with God. Then there's a window, there are trees outside, and yeah. So now I spend time with God in the afternoon, and read my Bible and pray, and I read my physical Bible with a journal on the side, and that's really helped me have a more consistent time with God. And throughout this pandemic, it's really my relationship with God, being able to hear from God and get encouragement from Him, has really been a lifesaver through this whole lockdown. And yeah, may mga times syempre na down din ako, may times din na, di ba, discouraged ka, but grabe talaga yung spending time with God, hearing from God, that it really boosts you with hope and encouragement, really. So
yeah. Oh wow, those are great tips that I think we can all use in our daily time that we allot for God as well. Ito, last na talaga. I just remembered, I have a friend, her name is Maggie. She listens to our podcast and she recently broke up with her boyfriend, right? So she's very brokenhearted right now, but she was telling me like, I'm still grateful because I listen to The Narrow Door and it comforts me. When I hear you guys talk about God and our faith, and it's kind of getting me through this difficult time. And I thought she'd be really kilig if she heard advice from you. Barbie,
Wala ako kasi naging love advice ulit.
I love. Like, what would you tell somebody, well, specifically Maggie, who is going through a breakup right now, but finding comfort in faith in God?
Well, yeah, sorry, Maggie, for for what you're going through right now. And the Bible does say that God is close to the brokenhearted. And the moments in our lives where we're brokenhearted, when we're down, are times when we seem to seek God more than ever, right? Mas parang mas tender yung heart natin for God, mas hungry tayo para sa kanya. And I believe that God is a faithful Father, and He loves to bless you. He blesses us in every area of our lives. He loves to bless us, but at the same time, He also allows trials. He also allows these heartbreaks in our lives sometimes, but we can always trust that His grace is sufficient for us, and that we can also trust that it's always for His purpose. God doesn't, if you're walking in God's, in the center of His will, parang bad things don't happen to us for no reason. You know what I mean? It's like when they do happen, we can trust that God is doing something, that He's allowed that in our lives for a purpose. And I also know that at the end of the day, when we can finally see from God's, if God does let us see things from His perspective, we will always find that He is always good, that God will always do that which is right. So like with what you're going through right now, I pray that that as you continue to seek comfort in God, I pray that that you would find a deeper satisfaction in Him, a deeper love, and I know that that God, the relationship that you have with God will bring healing to your heart, and will fill up your heart with so much love that you can share with the people around you. And if you're I'm believing with you for your love story, that God will be the one to write it in His perfect time. So
oh my, so good. I feel so good. I'm not even going through a breakup right now. That was so good. Wow. Oh my goodness. Maggie is going to be thrilled to hear all of that from you, Barbie. Thank you so much. And, Barbie's not done yet. She has a new single that's out, and it's everywhere you get your music. It's called Umagang Kay Ganda, right?
Oh, yes, that's true.
Yeah. So go check it out. Like, do you want to talk a little bit about the single?
Oh yeah, please check out Umagang Kay Ganda. It's our version of the classic OPM song by Butch Montserrat, and it's already out on all the music platforms. And and we also have some new singles coming soon, as well as an album that we finished at home.
Nice. Can't wait to hear that. Barbie, thank you so much for joining us today and inspiring us with your story. And wow, it's you're like very soft spoken, but your words are so powerful. Like, the power is not in the volume. Like, it's in how your story unfolded and how you really just surrendered everything to God and everything fell into place. And it was so comforting to hear your story today. So I thank you so much for celebrating our 30th anniversary daw. Oh,
that's a prophecy. 30th anniversary, celebrate tayo.
Guys, I hope I don't celebrate my 30th anniversary with you. I mean, I love you guys, but I mean, hopefully that's going to be like with a husband, right? Thank you so much, Barbie, for celebrating our 30th episode with us. Yes. Gentlemen, where do we find you? Please, Pastor D.
Yeah, you can find us at Victory Green Hills, our Facebook, our Instagram, and our YouTube.
Brother Jay.
J. Paul Hernandez or Feast Green Hills and Feast. Yeah.
Instructor Harold.
Contact at @gmail.com, or you can send me a message in Facebook and Instagram. Facebook, Harry Resho, Instagram, Harold Resho.
Alrighty. And of course, Barbie, you can check her out on her Instagram as well, at Barbie Almalbis. Again, we thank you for joining us on the show. If you want to write to us, we have an email, thenarrowdoorpodcast@gmail.com. We'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.